Hey guys, it's Tim from Bench Revolution, and today we're going to look at how to adjust a brake on an ice drum brake. I know a lot of you have an ice adventure or maybe an ice sprint, and they may have drum brakes. People think these are more complicated. I don't understand how they work. Well, today we're going to figure it out. I'm going to show you how they are built, how to fix them, and how to adjust them to run perfectly. These will give you years of trouble-free service if you know what you're doing. And the great news is you only need 3 things to work on them. A pair of needle nose pliers, a 5mm hex wrench, and a 6mm hex wrench. How easy could that be? Let's get started. Okay, let's talk about how the brake is put together or how to access the brake. So right here, there's a 6mm hex bolt. You should be testing this every time to make sure it's tight before each ride. But what we're going to do, so we can look at the brake, is we're just going to loosen it up. In fact, we're going to loosen it to the point that the whole thing is going to come out, which is, I guess that's the whole point, isn't it? So there, the bolt is off. Give you an idea of what that bolt looks like. Looks like this. There's a cap and a bolt. Very simple. Once you have that removed, basically the wheel can come off. And then the brake is 2 parts. There's the drum, the inside part, and then the caliper and the shoe, which is this part. And when the cable is squeezed, those shoes come up, and you can see they're very thick. They come up and push against the outside of the wheel. All right, so I'm going to just put this back together to make sure you get this. There's a little peg that has to be engaged into a slot onto the fitting, and it goes just like that. Okay, I'm going to tighten this up with my 6mm. Whoa, of course I'm going to need a bolt. Here's the bolt. So let's start with my fingers. That's probably a safe method. And then right back at it with the 6mm wrench. And we're just going to spin that into place. And then we're going to tighten it up. You want it quite tight. And you should check that, like I said, every time before each ride. So, how's this thing work? It's got a cable that's pulled by the brake lever, and then this fits into this little trap. And I can show you. You can push this back and release it like that. To put it in, you just slide it forward like that. So, in this case, the brake lever, let me show you that. So in this case, the brake lever is too loose. You can see it goes way too far. You have to go way up here to get it to engage. But what we'd like to have is have it engage right about here and maybe lock out right about here. So how do we make that adjustment? It's good to know that your brake cable here is going to stretch over time. So to get that to work at its optimum, you may need to adjust this every so often. And I will show you how to do that. This is where you grab your handy needle nose pliers. And what we're going to do is there's a lock ring right here, okay? Or a jam nut. This jam nut goes against here to hold the adjustment in place. But what we're going to do is we're going to break it loose by grabbing it like this with the pliers. Pull it this way, and then you should be able to move it with your finger. At that point, then, once you have that jam nut loose, so it's all the way back here, if you can see that, then what we're going to do is we're going to push this together. And you can see here that there's a lot of slack in the system. So there's a knurled piece here, and all you have to do is turn that counterclockwise and get my fat hands in there. get that counterclockwise, and then you'll see how the cable starts to tighten. It's pulling down, pulling that slack out of the system. So I've made this one quite loose, so it's going to take a little bit of turning. So now I've got it pretty tight. As I check the lever, that's actually maybe too tight. So I'm going to get that, pull that tight a little bit. Okay, so now the brake is where we want it to engage. It's firing exactly right. So the last step, how easy could this be, is you take the jam nut, which is here, that little jam nut. I'll try and get a close-up of it. And let's do that now. So the jam nut is here, this piece, okay? So what we did was we're going to adjust it by twisting this knurled piece here. Now, of course, you can't see that. But we're going to lock this jam nut into place now. So you just roll it up, tighten it toward the stop here. And I think it's there. Now I'm going to come in with my needle nose pliers. And I'm just going to make sure that it's stuck. So now we think we've got it pretty well tight. And you can test it by trying to move it with your finger or trying to move this knurled piece here. If it doesn't move, it's jammed in there like it's supposed to, and it should hold tight. So now that we made the adjustment, the brake lever is very responsive and you're getting some really awesome braking up front that's going to be reliable. And the great news is you can do this whenever you need to do it. You shouldn't have to clean them or anything, but you just should always check to make sure that those bolts are tight. And that's it. How easy was that? Now, hopefully that gives you confidence to go work on the brakes of your ice bike if it has drum brakes. These are Sturmey Archer brakes. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment if you have any questions or want to see some other specific content, have me do a repair or something like that. Just let me know in the comments. I look at those and I'll be happy to try and shoot something in the future. Thanks.